Welcome. I'm Dr. Marcia Levi, and tonight we're going to have a conversation around eustress, bounce back from burnout. And I have the pleasure of enjoying some warm water while we have this presentation. So let's talk about a few things. Inside of this conversation tonight, we will discuss eustress, stress in its forms of distress and eustress. We'll look at some foods. We'll look at some habits that will help stress. We'll even look at what eustress is. So if you are comfortable, I am. So let's get started. So eustress, bounce back from burnout. If I could paint a picture for you for a little bit, when you had your very first temper tantrum as a child, or your first, what we would call a mini breakdown, when you found yourself screaming at the top of your lungs and requesting that whatever it is that you wanted at that moment, an ice cream cone, a candy bar, to go outside. And what you did was to throw yourself onto the floor. That's burnout. You had hit your wall and you probably burned your parents or your guardian or your caregiver out at that point. And you created a situation where you were agitated. So the word stress, as we'll see in a moment, will describe a couple of scenarios that can happen inside of your body. Even for some persons getting to this presentation tonight, could have been stressful. So let's talk about what we'll anchor ourselves around. And I'm using this scripture to help me. It says, but let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. And this is from James 1:4, New King James Version. What happens with stress is usually there is a point where we are not letting patience guide our actions. And you'll see a little bit more of what I'm talking about as I go along. But if you are faith-based like I am, and you root yourself in something that holds you together, this is one scripture that I use to help me when I am feeling stress, just generally stress. So I'm sharing it with you. Let patience have its perfect work. That means whatever I'm going through, I need to be still, know God is God, and just let it work. So if there's something that helps you to balance what you're dealing with as we go through this presentation tonight, use something like this. I always, as a chiropractor, physiotherapist, and nutritionist, I always anchor people in the 5 principles to optimal health. And those principles are a balanced nervous system. I tell people, imagine that is like a table. And that table, in order to be steady, to be solid as a rock, it has 4 legs, and a four-legged table is much more sturdy. It's sturdier than a table that's 3 legs or even 2 legs. And so we balance each of these legs out in no particular order, but equal importance: nourishing food, appropriate exercise, adequate rest and relaxation, and a positive mental attitude. And we will go into that a little bit more regarding how each of these can help you with your stress. So the Oxford Dictionary, which generally is a research-based, or because it's the Oxford Dictionary, it's more British inclined. But often when you're doing research or you're looking for definitions that you can use in the workplace, we'll lean toward the Oxford Dictionary. But for everyday American style, we'll use the Webster Dictionary. So stress is defined here as pressure or worry caused by problems in someone's life or having too much to do. I don't know about you, but on a very regular basis, I find myself having too much to do. It may not be problems. It might just be stuff that I'm doing that's good for me or not so good for me, but it's too much. It's too much for my 24 God-given hours. And then the Webster Dictionary describes it more from a physical, emotional factor, and it says a force That means something that causes you bodily or mental tension and may be a factor in disease. So, as a chiropractor and a health educator, I will tell people there's dis-ease, D-I-S hyphen ease, and disease. So, your body's uncomfortable, and that would be dis-ease. And then there are times when you're fully in a disease condition that needs help. So, this is the definition for stress. Here's the definition for distress. Oxford describes it as a feeling of great worry or mental pain, often highlighting the in distress phrase, indicating a need for urgent help or danger. So this is the technical one, and it says, hey, you're getting really, really anxious and you are setting out every fire alarm that you can. Webster goes a little softer and it says a state of great trouble, usually caused by an external, and in this case indicates temporary source, such as severe anxiety, pain, or misery. So if you have, I mentioned earlier having a temper tantrum as a child. Well, sometimes as adults, we have temper tantrums, and those may be detrimental because people around us will be affected by what's going on. Sometimes the only person that's affected is you. It will cause you great anxiety, great stress. And for pain, it could be anywhere from emotional, physical, or chemical pain for the body. And then, of course, misery. So this is distress. Here are, before we go on to eustress, pardon, here are 12 stages of burnout. I'm going to give you some time to read it. And then I will actually talk about them. So distress, this particular picture says there are 12 stages of burnout. I actually think it could be a little less and it could be a little bit more depending on who you are as a person, how you handle things, and certainly how your body responds to things. So one, proving yourself. You pushed hard to prove your worth and value in the workplace. Then two, overworking mode. You can't stop striving. Resting feel like a weakness. There's self-neglect as number three. You skip meals, you eat, sleep less, and ignore your needs. Number four, inner conflict. You feel uneasy inside, but avoid facing the truth. The word alignment is being used over and over these days. And as a chiropractor, we've always talked about the nervous system being aligned. And this is one where we see inner conflict where a person shows up and I will say to them, why are you in pain? And they're like, I don't know. And they always, often what you will find myself that I will try to link it to something that you're doing physically. But the reality is sometimes it's because you have not done anything. You've not worked out. You've not eaten right. You have not slept well. You are not speaking positive things over yourself. And that's why you have that inner conflict. Number five is listed as values shift. You start trading balance for nonstop work and achievement. So what is important to me is doing God's will and doing it at the best of his ability. And sometimes in order for me to do what God calls me to do, it means that I have to irritate people around me or cause discord. When I say discord, meaning I'm asking for a level of performance that a person may not be willing to deliver. So I may ask for example, these slides. Melvina is such a great help for me. And she said, will you send the slides over? And I said, no, not today. I'm working on it because I was working on the flow. Now, I'm sure I caused her some angst because she was very willing to help me. And I was like, no, I'm going to do this by myself today. I'm going to put this PowerPoint presentation together. And this is because I was intentional praying and asking God, as I speak and my words drop onto you, whomever you are at the sound of my voice, like let it be soft rain, like let it be nourishing, let it bring value to you, and not just words that are, like they say, clanging cymbals. I just did not want to be more noise in the world of noise. I wanted to be specific. Then number 6 is listed as denial. You hide exhaustion behind forced toughness and irritability. So you're saying, oh, I'm good, 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 I'm good. Yeah, you're not. And then withdrawal. You isolate, distance feels easier than explaining. And this is a tough one because I'm here. I am less than 30 days out from a milestone birthday. And I decided earlier this year that I was going to honor the Sabbath. And that means that on Sundays, when I could be socializing with some of my friends. I'm actually not because I'm spending more time being introspective. And so for some people, they're like, what's wrong? Why are you isolating? This is not healthy for you. Every day, Monday through Friday, you're giving of yourself, sometimes even on Saturday. Sunday, you ought to spend time so we can help you recharge. And I've had to say, this year or so far for this year, I felt really good recharging by myself. So on one hand, the withdrawal and the isolation can feel tough, especially people around me. And with love, they love me and they want to spend time with me, but they hear me say, no, I'm good by myself. And it's me just really pouring in. My birthday is my new year, and I want to make sure I hear clearly from God so I'm not moving out of alignment with alignment. Then another stage of burnout she describes as acting different. You seem unlike yourself, moodier, quiet, losing a spark. So my withdrawal to people who know me and know me well has said, are you okay? You've been very quiet. Like I'm an introvert. I'm an introverted thinker. So being quiet actually serves me a great deal because I can cross lots of, if you think of the levels of your mind, I am able, the quieter I get, the more I'm able to cross those lines. And then I am much firmer within that. And so if I'm always speaking or I'm always pouring out or I'm always being present with people, I cannot. But for people who love me and are very close to me, they know something is different about me. So while it's not a true burnout, it's mimicking burnout because I have withdrawn myself from activities that I usually participate in. And so because I'm quiet, somebody may think I'm being moody, but the reality is I'm going in deep thinking. So we have to be careful that this does not mimic. I have been in burnout before where, oh my gosh. So this level of burnout, acting different than withdrawal in burnout is usually describing clinical terms as depression. This person here would be depressed. So clinical, and I'm not a clinical psychologist or psychiatrist, but if those persons evaluated you and you were overwhelmingly acting different or withdrawing, moody or quiet, they would say that you are depressed. So do you see how a clinical condition can disguise itself as burnout? Then there's losing yourself. You feel detached, like life is happening without you. This can happen in number 9, losing yourself, feeling detached, like life is happening without you. This can happen very often in a workplace, not just in a family situation where a person may say, why is everybody in the family seem in agreement with this one thing and I am sitting out here? Or why is everybody else in the family communicating well and I'm on the other side of of the conversation, or it seems like I'm on the outskirts of the conversation, or I get left out of the decision making. So this losing yourself and continuously feeling detached can make you go through a burnout because your brain, it's like a windmill, it's or a water wheel. It's just keeps going and going and going and going. And your body never gets a chance to break and realize you cannot be part of everything and things that are important and that you're an integral part of the structure, you'll be invited and included in. You don't have to be part of every um, as I would say, every menu, every event that's happening, every action, there's some things that you will not have value in. This one here is empty inside. You feel hollow and unfulfilled despite achievement. This is the imposter syndrome. So in this stage of burnout, you get an award, you get an accolade, and you go like, why me? How did I get that? Do they do they really know me? Do I deserve that? And you go through this. I've had this several times in life. I have received an award and I wondered, although I had earned the award, when it was presented to me, I felt strange inside. And simply because I did not work for me, I did not work for the award or the recognition. And so when it came, I was unprepared to deal with the accolades that came with it. I once had a friend, I had some friends over for dinner, and this young lady, she said to me, she's in her 80s, and she said to me, and she was highly complimentary, and I could not stand her just, as we say, blessing me with her words. She was just going on and on about how she felt about being present in my home and the dinner that we had and the atmosphere. And I could not stand still to receive it from her because in my mind's eye, I really needed to be honoring her. In her 80 young years, she was pouring so much wisdom into me that I could not imagine that she was saying, "You inspire me," words like that. I thought, what? I can't stand here and hear this. I should be telling her that. So, in this stage of burnout, for me, I was not recognizing that it's okay to receive that because the way I was brought up, those are vanity. If self promotion, having people pour accolades on you and you standing there soaking it up and living for it, the limelight, that's vanity. That's a sin. Cut it out. And so the conflict of that was I deserved to hear what she was telling me. I could not process it because it was coming from a wise one and I'm elderly. And I had served alongside her to have this beautiful event. So this is one that goes back and forth. I know some people will say, I went to work and I got this award, and then I got home and I don't know, somebody said, take out the trash, take out the garbage, or did you make the bed? A child went to school and got straight A's and they came home and nobody had a muffin or anything for them or some way to celebrate and say, hey, you did great. And so if you have not practiced saying this to yourself that I'm worthy and I'm well deserving, you could burn out when this happens over and over. This deep sadness, you feel hopeless, drained, and disconnected. I can personally relate to this one in burnout. When my daughter died, she died in September, many years ago, 2 decades ago. And for a long time, when back to school happened in September, I had deep sadness. I would find ways to support my relatives and friends and goddaughters and so as they went to school, but I could not truly feel happy. And it took a therapist walking me through this to say, your grief, this deep sadness that you're feeling is grief attached to a season in life. And so unless you go through it and actually recognize why you were letting yourself be sad about something that you had no responsibility, it just happened. This is God's design, God's plan. And then how do you let that go? So for some people who are in seasons of grief, they will hold on and have this deep sadness. Not that you ought not to have your experience of deep sadness. I'm not saying that at all, but you ought to know when it's time to surrender, when it's time to let go, when it's time to shift a little bit. So when you feel this hopelessness and drained feeling and disconnect, for me now for back to school is a time to celebration. Who I'm intentional from August. How can I help people be so uh, fulfilled, regardless of what level they're going to school, whether it's elementary or higher education? I want to make sure that they're having a phenomenal back to school experience because I enjoy that. And what has helped me do is lessen the sadness. So this in this stage of burnout, I have worked through techniques, through ways of saying there's no need for you to linger here. Even if you feel it, you don't have to linger. And then this is collapse. Number 12, she describes like the Hansel clock, right? So you mentally and physically collapse. There's nothing left. So I remember I love silent retreat. I'll head off and I'll do a silent retreat. And that's because in a silent retreat, especially if I do it with the nuns, I can, or even the monks, I can ask for no, I'm not speaking at all. Nobody speaks to me. I don't speak to anyone because I'm such a giver. At the end of this presentation, I'm going to invite you to take our energy profile that I created so that you can see what type of energy giver you are or where is your energy profile. But I pour out and I pour out without any limits because God has been so remarkably good to me that He fills me up and gives me lots to overflow. But sometimes, in order to replenish myself, I have to collapse in a good way. So, this particular stage of burnout for me, I will feel myself physically and mentally collapse where there's nothing left to give. And then I will say, I have to rest to recover. So, this is one stage of burnout that it's not pleasant to go to the end of the road and burn yourself out. Like people say today, I shared with a sweet friend, it's not good to light yourself on fire to keep others warm. But sometimes you have to burn things around you so that you can use the ashes to rise from like a phoenix. So, this particular stage of burnout, where you collapse mentally and physically, you have to have a response. So, I work 12 weeks and take time off, right? And I take time off from work. And this is important when you consider in the stages of burnout and how it can lead you to distress. Disproving yourself, overworking mode, self-neglect, inner conflict, values shift, denial, withdrawal, acting differently, losing yourself, empty inside, deep sadness, and collapsing. So, if you've gone through all of these stages at some point in your life, or even sometimes in one day, depending on how connected you are or how wired you are with your body, you've got to get to Eustress. As a reminder, the Oxford Dictionary is kind of the prim and proper British definition. It says a positive cognitive. So your brain, right? Romans 12:2, Paul said, do so by renewing your mind. The way I work is that Romans 12:1 and 2, my body's a living sacrifice, so is your body. And we do so by renewing our minds. That's why we're having this webinar. But a positive cognitive response to stress that is healthy or gives one a feeling of fulfillment. It's a made up word. I did not make it up. But eustress came from euphoria, good stress. Like it is good for me to teach tonight because every time I teach and it's recorded and it's replayed, I know someone who needed an explanation that I may have given in the practice. In practice, I may have said it 3, 4 times. But if I saw 100 people, 97 people did not get to hear the message. But in the future, 97 people get to. And when you get the recording, share it because this, a positive cognitive response to stress that is healthier, gives one a feeling of fulfillment. So I'm going to back up for a second before I go to the Webster. In this one, I said that when I mentally collapse and physically collapse, I will retreat to recharge. I'm intentional. So, like a pencil being sharpened, I'll go to the end and then I'm like, I have to go. I know this means working 40 weeks out of each year, 52 weeks. So, 12 weeks, I need to have rest. And every 12 weeks, I need to take some time off. So, I know my rhythm, but it's taken me some time to get here. You ought to know your rhythm when you need to retreat and recover. Webster Dictionary, which is the American version, the version that speaks well to us as a conversation, it says a positive, not negative, a positive form of stress having a beneficial effect on health, motivation, performance, and emotional well-being. I like this. One of my coaches uses this term, your well-being. And I like it because it said, it is well with my being. It is well with my being. Well, if you are burned out, if you are stressed, if you are in distress, so let me back up. If you're in distress, the bad stress, the thing that makes you feel not so good in your body, or you've had some stage of burnout, or you're in multiple stages of burnout, there are some things that can help you go to and achieve eustress. Because right now, when I first started the presentation, I always have a little bit of distress. My body's like, can they hear me? Is this right? Is this correct? Is the light right? Am I sitting where I'm supposed to? Can they hear me? I'll ask myself that a couple of times, even as much as my lips are moving and I'm doing my presentation and welcoming you to spend time with me and I'm happy. Literally, maybe I would say a minute or two in, my body calms down because I enjoy teaching. It is the thing I live for. It is the thing that I'll grow up doing. And so anytime I'm delivering information that I know will change your life, that will change your DNA, that will change the people around you, that you will share it in your community and you will help someone else be better. I am so delighted. Oh my gosh, I am delighted, 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 delighted. And so I draw doing something that's stressful for me, and it turns into eustress. So it's not necessarily distressful too much. So if I spend 45 minutes with you today, 40 minutes, 30 minutes, and I have 1 minute to distress so that I can have 29 or 34 or 44 minutes, whatever else of eustress, of joy, of working in my passion, of sharing this information in a manner that you can understand and answering questions, then I have more than balanced out the distress. So this is me working out at 5 o'clock in the morning. I'm usually up at 4:30. I'm getting up 10 minutes earlier. I've spoken to my body, so I'm up now at 4:20 so that I can be present with my trainer at 5 a.m. because I signed up for the Army 10 miler in previous years, up until 2018, maybe 2017, I think I did it for 10 years in a row. So this is me working back into my physical health. So I've gotten clearance from my doctors to go back to strength training and running. And so I will go to the gym so I can do my strength work and my running. And Tuesday morning in this area, it was really nice weather, and went out at 5 a.m. to run with my run coach. And it was distressing uphill, but euphoric, eustress downhill. And when we are in the flat, I felt really good. And because running brings me joy, by the end of the workout and I got home, I thought, ooh, that was fun. I should do this again tonight. But I did not, because my body was like, no, don't overdo the do. You are of an older age. You have to go slowly but surely. So I am happy in having eustress be a positive form, and exercise is one. And you'll see when I come down to that. So this is me at a gala last year. Yes, last December. Dancing brings me joy. I'm going to pause and have you put in a chat what brings you joy. If you can look closer, you'll see the beads of sweat around my face. This dress has all kinds of glittery stuff on it. But I was dancing, and if I can only remember what song it was, but whatever it was really good because I was all in it. When I saw the picture, the photographer sent it to me. I said, this is what I was doing. I was really in good. And what was helpful is my dress is comfortable and my shoes, although they were heels, were comfortable. So I was not in distress on this particular dance floor. That's not to say that every gala I am dressed up and I am not in some form of distress for a little bit. But this is definitely a moment of eustress for me.
Dr. Levi, you do have one question. Can you burn out from being retired and doing essentially nothing? Well, nothing like having a job. It is certainly stressful.
So please put in the chat what brings you joy for euphoria. And the question is, can you burn out from being retired? Because not having a job, yes, you can be in burnout. Let me answer that. And this would be you're feeling empty inside, number 10. So you achieved years and years of work, years and years of accolades, years and years of achievement. You should be celebrating your stillness now. But because you're not connected, this burnout will lead to distress, this stage of burnout. So it will be empty inside, which in turn will make you feel losing yourself. You feel detached, like life is happening without you. So this is a person who, because they're between 9 and 10, or both 9 and 10, outside of working with your therapist, I would say you need a part-time job. You're not really retired because you weren't tired in the first place. You left because you were frustrated, or it was time for where you were, or you needed a change of scenery. But I would certainly encourage you, invite you, if you would like to, on our website, drmarcialevi.com, there's a passionate purpose coaching, 15 minutes free with me. You can go to drmarcialevi.com, and I'll share the slide a little later, and do the passionate purpose coaching 15 minutes with me, sign up for it. And in 15 minutes, what I do, I love to help you do this, is help you identify what are you so passionate about that you can use your time, energy, or money to go back into connection. So this would be number 9 and 10. So did you put in the chat So I'm gonna ask Melvina to give me some of the responses people have been saying.
Yes.
Come on, what makes you happy?
Okay. Dancing,
Mhm.
traveling, um, enjoying people and being present, living in the moment,
Yes,
music and being around family,
yes,
exercise, singing and laughing out loud, dancing, making people laugh.
I love that.
Shopping for pink sneakers.
Whoa, that is specific.
Right,
Yeah, I
right.
saw a pink Tesla the other day and I said, this has got to be a powder girl, a powder puff girl. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I love pink sneakers. I like that.
writing poetry,
Oh,
looking at,
beautiful.
yes, looking at nature on a beautiful day, especially early in
Mm,
the morning.
yes,
Spending time doing activities that feel intentional and purposeful.
very
Laughter,
good.
cooking and being near water,
Mm,
time alone at home.
yes.
Yes.
You see if how many activities that a person could tap into that helps them to find joy, find eustress, find, years ago I grew up, I had a pen pal and we used to write to each other about our hobbies, which were reading at the time, being outdoors as a child, playing board games. And we would just write each other letters about what we did last about our hobbies. And people, we just don't play anymore, people. Or we spend a lot of money paying to play. Like, yeah, speaking to a woman who picked up golf as one of one of the activities. And I'm actually like being outdoors. I'm not certain I'm very good at the game as yet, but it'll take a moment because it's twisting me in a direction that my chiropractor is like, what are you doing? But when we come to eustress, right? When we come to taking the dark or the feelings of emptiness or the feelings of overwork and balancing it out with things that bring us joy. For me, if I can dance one song a day, if I can walk for 10 to 30 minutes, if I can talk to a loved one or a good friend or share a laughter with someone or cheer someone else up or journal. Like I have a friend who she has, you'll see it a big at in next Saturday, actually, I'll be part of her retreat. Candy, she encourages you to journal, to put the thoughts that God placed in your heart and head out. And so that's a good one. All right, let's talk about how stress affects you. So, what happens is your nervous system controls every function in your body. By the way, thank you everybody for sharing. That was very good. Very good. Your nervous system controls every function in your body. So when you're stressed, whether it's good or bad, your nervous system will respond. So when you're stressed, the bowel systems will not work well. Hear this and hear me clearly. I have cardiovascular up as one of the examples, as the number one, really, because I'm going to give an example there. But it does not mean that it will be done in this order. Not at all. Your body will decide. So here's the distress. I sat all day long. My nervous system does not like that. So it tells my heart, slow down or speed up. It says, slow down, let the blood pool in her legs. Maybe it will prompt her to move. Or it will speed up and give me neck pain and a headache to say, get her to move so she can balance. I get up and I instantly get up. I don't warm my body up or anything. I instantly get up. I could feel lightheaded, dizzy. I can feel off balance. I can feel like my core is not what it needs to be. I can have weakness in my legs or the tightness in my legs who has not come off a plane and felt if you did not wear your compression socks, some problem. And then you immediately get up and go into an activity. So the picture I showed you earlier of me dancing, my cardiovascular system, I had sat, listened to the presentations, and then I went dancing in heels and an evening gown. That's a little euphoric for me because I felt good, but distressing for my body because I'm moving on my tiptoe. So it was good stress with a little tinge of distress in it. So why am I saying this to you? Don't look for the either or. They are together. That's how you bounce back from burnout. Stop waiting for the feeling to go away before you do. Stop waiting to feel fulfilled before you feel happy. Stop waiting to feel less depressed to feel happy. Two things can be true at the same time, and two things can operate in the same space. You just have to choose which one is more important. So for me, getting up and dancing in that moment was so euphoric that I forgot that I was in heels and an evening gown and at an evening event, a gala. And I carried on like I was having the best time of my life because I was moving. So my cardiovascular system at first was in shock. So it's sped up, blood was flowing everywhere. And then I sweat to get rid of the excess heat. So I'm sweating in my pits, as we say here in the office. You got to sweat in your pits. That's how you know you're really working your cardiovascular system. And then it auto-regulated. It just went to whatever felt good for my body. So by the time I am finished dancing, I was like, ooh, that was good. Now, the next day, I might have felt some distress in my calves. Do you see what happened? What happens for that example that I gave you is my body went through a series of distress, eustress, distress, eustress, but the cumulative, the overall action is of eustress. That's how you bounce back from burnout. That is how you bounce back from burnout. You don't tell yourself that distress is the only place for you to learn. Certainly, distress is important and it's hard and it's there sitting, but it's also important that you know I can walk through this. And this is the same thing, like I'm going to use another example. If you ate bad food, your body may have you throw it up or have diarrhea. That's distress. But a eustress is that you no longer have the poison in your body and you are in eustress. So you go from distress, throwing up, vomiting or diarrhea, and then your body says, thank you, because now it's in eustress. It's happy. Here is the next one I'm going to hone in for you. When I teach the 5 principles to optimal health, if you're under my care, you've heard me say this before, get adjusted regularly. It can be uncomfortable to be present because it requires time, energy, and money. But your nervous system needs to be aligned so that your brain can talk to your body and speak to your body regularly and well. I encourage you to eat foods that are nourishing to you, ethnically, culturally, accessible, small portions, cooked well. I like people to do fistful portions of food, eat slowly. Appropriate exercise, we start with breathing. Inhale, exhale. Do activities that will help you move well more. Sweating in your pits, underarms, the back of your neck, the hull of your throat, your belly button, the small of your back, behind your knees, between your legs. Sweat. If those areas aren't moist, then you're not moving well enough. And then coming to appropriate sleep. Go to sleep, stay asleep, wake up refreshed, spend time relaxing with friends, and certainly what you speak and say over yourself. So I use today, the scripture is James 1:4, New King James Version, but let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. But let patience have its perfect work, that you may be perfect and complete, lacking nothing. So patience requires that you are still and you're comfortable with yourself enough that you are willing to speak light and life over yourself. You cannot stay in a distressive burnout when there's so much goodness in the world. You have to pivot into it. I say, here's some help for you. Breathe deeply and often. Take a picture of this slide, please. Stretch all the time, all the time. I'm sitting here moving my toes in my shoes. For ladies, I'm doing my Kegels and I'm doing my glute squeezes. You can't tell, but I'm making sure that I'm stretching, that my blood is flowing because I've been sitting here for a bit. You know that I've had my warm water, my beautiful cup from Reverend Nellie Greenwich. And it says, I love it. It says, pray on it, pray over it, pray through it. She had a t-shirt on and I got a cup for it. And then she brought me a t-shirt. I should have worn a t-shirt tonight, next time. Then move more and some more. So stretching is good. While I'm sitting here, I'm moving my toes, playing piano, moving my toes around, rolling my ankles around, doing my kegels, glute squeezes, rolling my shoulders, breathing and breathing well. But getting up and walking and moving will actually help oil your joints. Sleep is foundational. You cannot heal in the absence of appropriate sleep. You've got to rest, got to rest. And we'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. And then connect. Have some healthy friends. Not everybody's going to be your person, but those people that you find yourself connected to, connect with them and connect with them really well. I sometimes spend more time with some friends than others, but I keep my circles wide and small. There was a presentation done once that I listened to at our church, and it talked about your circles. You have your inner circles. And I found that my confidence cannot always hold all the information. So I have personal confidence and professional confidence. But you make sure that you are keeping conversations and always remember the world is an oyster. You can find friends everywhere, if especially if you have hobbies. Like right now, I'm running and climbing. All my friends who run and climb, they have risen to the top of my circle because I'm climbing, hiking on the weekend, and I'm running Monday through Friday. So as I prepare to do more work, I'm my friends who don't run and don't hike are not seeing as often. But it does not mean that I don't love them as equally and that they don't bring me joy. It's just I'm not getting to spend as much time with them. So connect with your healthy friends. Not every friend is healthy for you. Here's some more help. Drum roll, please. Sunlight. No comparison. Fresh, delicious sunlight. Please let it kiss you. When you're burnout, for most of us, especially those of us who live in the Western Hemisphere and have the professional jobs, we don't see the sun. We come to work in the dark and we leave in the dark, or we come to work and we stay inside, or the sun is too hot, so we really don't go out. Really? Because vitamin D is a hormone, cholecalciferol. The sun kisses your forearm and it converts it and it helps your liver metabolizes. And then it forms this base so that your brain is moisturized. So if I have a sun lamp in my office because I don't always get all the sun I can get, I need to get. So I want to add some, but there's nothing like fresh sunlight. Oh my gosh. Please, people, you're not living in Alaska. Go outside and get some sun or open a window, open a blind, get some sun on you. Here are some foods that help your mood. I'm a sardine and eggs girl. I don't know how many people around here are even almonds, but omega-3 fatty acids will help the brain, keeps it moisturized so that when your body feels burnout, any of those 12 that we talked about, it has a soft landing space. The hypothalamus in the brain, the only part of the brain that's connected to the eyes are the only part of the brain outside the skull. And so right along that line from the eyes into the brain is called the hypothalamus, the basement of the brain. It likes to have moist stuff in there. So, walnuts are not on this list, but walnuts is a good one too for my vegetarian friends. And then foods that are rich in magnesium. If you were at our December brunch with Dr. Levi, just like this is Insights with Dr. Levi, you heard Cheryl teach these magnesium-rich foods, and we created all the lovely menus. I hope you kept your copies. Dark chocolate, dark, bitter chocolate, over 80% cacao. Pumpkin seeds, unless you're allergic to it. And leafy greens in moderation. I should have typed that in. I apologize. In moderation, because calcium oxalate kidney stones will happen for those of you who overeat dark green leafy vegetables. Small. You don't blend big batches of it and all that. What would you feed a baby? What would you feed a child? Small portions, please. Calcium oxalate stones, or you'll develop gallstones, not ideal. And then fermented foods for your gut health. If you can find coconut-based or plant-based yogurt that has been or kefir, do before you go to dairy. And then something I noticed recently, that's why I added here, the citrus fruits around here have not been true juicy because I don't think they're getting enough sunlight. So if you get true juicy fruits, if you have to, in the citrus fruits, it's not a true citrus, but kiwi is high in vitamin C, which is really good for the brain, right? It helps iron be absorbed. And here's some teas, some herbs. You can have it as a tea or tincture. This is directly from online. And this is just some. Notice I said some because the list can be long. So eat your foods Make sure that you're getting good, healthy mix of foods. Here's some herbs that will help. And I say tincture. I'm a water tincture person, meaning that it's seep, you put it in the water and you let it sit for a few days, and then I drink the water. I'm not an alcohol tincture person. Some people draw it very quickly in alcohol. I'm concerned about the liver health. I'm concerned about people getting addicted to alcohol, or people who are susceptible to turning on the alcoholic gene. So I don't serve to my patients anything based in alcohol if I can help it. So there's rhodiola. Rhodiola has two types of rhodiola. Pay attention. Rhodiola ginseng, which raises your activity level, and Sujandra, like Sandra, but Sandra, that quiets you down. So shh, if you want to relate it, rhodiola, shh, Sujandra quiets you down. Ginseng gin brings you up. Like if somebody's drinking gin, don't drink gin. Don't drink gin. Dr. Levi did not say that. But if you look at a bottle and you're going to buy it and you want to know the difference, know that Shushandra is going to quiet you. It's going to lower your adrenals, cortisol, sorry, and it's going to like bring your body into hum hum. And ginseng is if you feel hum hum and you want to bring up your energy levels. And lavender, I like this for aromatherapy. Uh, I have had lavender infused tea last June when we had our tea party. We have had lavender infused teas because it was summer. And so it helped to calm the body down. It was March, actually March, sorry, not June, March 21st. It was the first day of spring. Passion flower, the gabapentin did the body, the way the loop works in the brain, the passion flower we found helps. And definitely lemon balm. So lemon scent with peppermint will raise the vibration and energy in the room. But the fresh lemon rind, that lemon balm herb, or you take the lemon of itself, washed really, really well, make sure, even if it's not organic, make sure it's clean. And you can grate the rind, or I just blend the rind and have it in my smoothie. But it promotes calm. Absolutely. Some supplements, magnesium for sure. Magnesium, all forms of magnesium is healthy for the body. Glycinate and pyranine for the brain. Citric for the digestive system to get you going if you're constipated. Lactate for the muscles, right? So I want a complex. You see how I said magnesium complex? Because when man separates it, I don't know if molecularly, sorry, somebody told me stop using big words like Levi. I don't know. Structurally, when we separate as humans, if we're matching the DNA in our cells, like in the key. So your cell has this little DNA, the key fits in the lock. And when man makes it, it even if we try to do whole food supplements, which is what I promote and support, we still have to be careful that it unlocks the DNA. Otherwise, it's wasted nutrition. It gets into the body, cannot quite fit into the lock. And so you have a lot of overflow, just excess in your body. That's why I encourage 5 of 2. You take your supplements, take a break, take a supplement, take a break. B complex, they're water soluble, so they go in and they wash out. I prefer them food based because they're not very stable. One company that we use has a Eustress complex that's pretty stable, very helpful. However, because it's very calming on the body, I tell people not more than 30 days, 30 days on, 30 days off, 30 days on, 30 days off. You don't want to overdo and subdue, right? Just because it's present and because somebody's selling it and because you can afford it, that does not mean that you ought to have it. Eat your food, get your exercise, get some sunlight, not because somebody's selling something or I have something. And but those people who struggle with sugar, like I had, that was a burnout stress to me. Thank God for Dr. Stewart and my acupuncture help. I was seriously getting addicted to processed sugar and I was able to get away from that. Being able to take inositol, which is technically considered vitamin B8, at night to help you sleep and rest. But watch this. Fruits, many fruits have inositol naturally, and beans, and all of your grain. So if you're eating keto and you're not doing any fruits or beans or grains, and you're just eating meats and leafy vegetables, you'll miss inositol and you may not sleep well or sleep at night. So a little bit of fruits, a little bit of beans, a little bit of grains, right? Will be helpful. Here are my invitations for you. Take a picture of this slide, please, please, please. If you're not currently in our wellness care, this is what's coming. Optimal Oasis is coming. We are moving along nicely. We're getting it all built out so that it's all this luscious place that we can relax in. But if you go to the website, join the tribe, you'll get updates of when things are happening. Our clinical practice. I love being a chiropractor and I have a phenomenal team. Chiropractic, physical therapy, nutrition. If you know someone who needs our care, this is the window because people know I don't always have windows for new patients. And so this is a window. We're accepting new patients right now. They need to come in, get into the care because it may not always be the same. We kind of go ebb and flow. And then here's your homework right at the top here. Take your free. It takes about 10 minutes, maybe. If you're like me, I want to read through the question and every answer before I answer. So I think it took me, I timed myself, but since I designed it, I could be wrong, but I think it took me about 10 to 12 minutes. But free energy profile quiz today. So you're going to go to drmarcialevi.com. Once you're at the website, scroll down to the bottom, and see the beautiful site that they did for me. If you are interested in finding out how can you get connected to your passionate purpose, or if you're so burnt out, you're like, Doc, what's my pivot or what's where I am and how can I really fix this? Jump on there, book me. I only do it on Monday afternoons. We got about 15 minutes we'll spend together. So say passionate purpose coaching, log in, sign in so that you can get the invitation to meet with me for 15 minutes. But your energy profile quiz will be very informative because a few profiles will come up and you'll get a chance to see who you are, where you are. And then I invite you at least every couple of months to come back and check yourself in the energy profile. This energy profile will actually be expanded soon so that you'll get a full assessment and you'll be able to go into the academy and get full classes. All right, what's coming up next? Thank you for your patience for hanging with me tonight. What's next? On Saturday, the 25th, the Right Heel Share. This lady, Candy State, is amazing. She has a journal as well. If you email her or call her, she'll give you specific directions on how you can get that. This women's retreat, I understand, is closed. So I'm so happy I'm part of it. So did you see the 3 words there? Right, heal, share. So I journal and I write for my patients. I have a newsletter and now I'm on Facebook and Instagram and I've always been on LinkedIn talking to my friends, but now I'm sharing more with people. But there's a portion of what I write that's healing that I never share. So I'm looking forward to this women's retreat. She has a select group of women that we're going to gather and pour into each other, and I get to be present. And why am I saying this? Because September 19th this year, later this year, she's having a much larger event. And so for those of you who don't know how to or need to or love, for all groups of people, consider connecting with her so that you can be present at the bigger event. And then next month, we do this same time, not same time, different date, May 14th, menstruation to menopause. I have a special guest that's going to be joining me. Look for your link to register. So if you're not already connected to us, please find a way to do so. If you go to my website, anywhere which says connect with Dr. Levi, join the tribe, any of that, you'll be able to get the invitation. This one will be virtual. And then September 13th, Manifest, you're your brother's keeper. We will be going into andropause. And this is for everybody, not just men, but the men are going to be leading. It's a conversation. It's in person and virtual. Tickets are coming soon. You have to pay for this one because it's a Saturday. It's a day with me. So if you saw our Money Matters where I had my friends at the table, it's going to be similar. That was actually a pilot that we did. So the 5 of us sat at the table and then our technical team was behind the scenes. This one here will have a group of people. There'll be a little bit of broadcasting with me. So if you're doing virtual, you may have 2 hours. But if you actually pay to spend the whole day with us, that will include all the meals and all the conversation. So more details are coming. We are planning that. I want to say thank you and have a beautiful night and an even more amazing day tomorrow. Have a good night, everybody.